It hasn't actually been like a good race for the race, but the race within the race has been a great race. Yeah?
Thanks, Liam. You've explained that really
Nice
well.
and clear. Okay, Dave, well, the Tour de France is done for another year.
Yeah, and in terms of the actual yellow jersey race, a bit of a procession, really. I mean, Pogačar had it sewn up from about stage 2?
Yeah, I'd say that.
More or less. Never looked in doubt.
What has been interesting, aside from the racing around the rest of the Tour, which was really actually
King of the
quite
Mountains
good.
was good.
Oh,
Sprint jerseys. I mean, it's great to see Cav back in
love
winning ways.
seeing Cav doing that. The tech for me has been a real key thing, and that's what we're going to dive into right now with the tech that we've seen or not at the Tour de France 2021.
Okay, let's address the elephant that wasn't in the room this year, because Shimano have got a new group set, new Dura Ace presumably. We've seen it at the Tour of Belgium on a Team DSM bike. Yeah. We've seen patents of it.
Yeah.
And nowhere to be seen at the Tour, not a single sighting.
It was a massive letdown. We were absolutely expecting to, well, for me, one of the key things is what they're going to do with the Freehub. So I was really looking forward to seeing some spy shots from the mechanics when they just left some wheels around, and we get to see maybe with the cassettes off what's going on under the cassette. And then it didn't turn up, so we haven't been able to see that. We wanted to see more of the brakes.
I mean, I think what we do know is what we already knew, isn't it? That
Yes.
it's going to be a semi-wireless system.
Yeah.
The shifters look like they take a button cell, and the rest of the system is wired together. So there's a battery still in the seat tube, and then there's wires to the front and rear mechs. That looks like it's how it's all going to work.
To be honest, I'm kind of wondering why they're bothering with that. If you're not going to make it a fully wireless system, I think what they're going to do is essentially take the long cable out of the down tube, and I'm not sure why they're bothering.
Also, though, they're going to be taking the cables from the levers that go through the head tube or around the head tube. So that's that's a more complicated issue that is solved by the system.
Yeah, but I hope they don't lose any shift speed from that.
So yeah, you've used both SRAM systems and Shimano's DO2, and you prefer DO2 because it's a slightly quicker shift.
It's so fractional, but it is a little bit quicker.
I can't tell the difference personally. I'm only a third cat and you're a second cat.
I'm a highly tuned second cat that's about to lose his second cat license.
So let's talk a little bit more about Freehubs. What we don't know is that we don't know whether they're going to go for the open standard that they currently use for the 11 speed.
Yeah.
Or their own proprietary micro-spline system.
To be honest, Dave, I just hope that they stick with what they've got, really. I don't really see the point of the smallest 10-tooth cog. I've tried it out. It does increase the range, but I don't find that it works like as well as an 11-tooth. And to be honest, for the simplicity of just everyone's got loads of wheels already with that HG.
True enough. The other thing we don't know is we don't know about the braking. We've seen the disc brakes on the DSM bike.
Yeah.
So obviously it's going to be disc brake.
Yeah.
But we don't know whether there's going to be rim brakes too.
I mean, for me, rim brakes work as well as rim brakes are ever going to work. The thing for me that's going to be important for people coming over to disc is how well the pads kind of retract, and whether Shimano has been able to sort out the heat warping and those issues. Because if we can get them to a place where they just work, well, there's not really much excuse for not switching over.
No, but we still see issues, and we still see pro riders using proprietary kit in the braking sphere. I mean, let's talk about Chris Froome, because he's the obvious example, and there's a lot of heat around that story. So he swapped out his Shimano calipers for Magura calipers. That's what it looks like.
We think they're Maguras. They might be rotor, but we reckon it's the MTSL flat mount brake. Why has he done that? Well, he's made noises in the past about disc noise, so we reckon it's to do with heat dissipation and pad clearance.
So probably the pad clearance is just slightly bigger, and that gives you a little bit more leeway when you're pelting down that alpine descent and hauling on the brakes and putting a load of heat into your rotors.
There have been plenty of new wheels on show. So Shimano seemed to, again, unbranded. It's on all of the Shimano teams, so we think they're Shimano.
It's got to be a Shimano wheel, hasn't it?
Come on.
Yeah.
But they're unbranded. They look like 50s to me. They don't look as deep as the current 60s. They look tubular. Will we see tubeless? Many unanswered questions. There are some fun little details about the hubs, which you can go and check out. We've got an article about them up here. We first spotted them ages ago, months ago.
I think it's up there.
Oh, is it up there?
Yeah.
You're going to change the location? God. So we've also seen spy shots of what looks like some new Hunt wheels.
Yeah, look interesting. They're like a 30 or 40 mil semi-deep section. Again, They look like tubulars, but obviously Hunt have got a lot invested in tubeless, so we'll see where they go with that.
They are as well using carbon spokes, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, we've had some of their carbon spoke wheels in for review. We really like them. They're unidirectional. They say they're stronger than a steel spoke, and obviously they're lighter. And if you want a nice, cheap Tour de France wheel, don't forget that Quebec Next Hash. Was that what they're called now?
I can't keep up.
I can't keep up either. They're winning stages. They won a stage of the Giro on the Carbon 50 Aero rims from Hunt, which are about 800 quid.
Yeah. So there's also a new bike under the Jumbo Visma riders, all like 2 of them by the end of the tour probably. They've had some bad luck. It's the bike that we saw under Roglic at the Spring Classics.
Yeah. So a new R5 or possibly an R6.
Yeah, it's essentially the major change is that they've moved the cables internally. That's got a redesigned headset because of that, so it's become a bit deeper, a bit skinnier.
Yeah, and it's more of a dual bike.
One man that has been really splashing the cash is Mathieu van der Poel, or his team have. He went and used a load of sponsor incorrect components for the TT.
Very naughty boy, and went on a 900 kilometre round trip, not him personally, but one of the team mechanics, to get a Princeton wheel, I believe.
Yeah, and it wasn't the front wheel that we were expecting. It was actually the rear disc. He was on an Aerocoach AOX Titan front wheel, and the changes that he made, including overshoes from no pins, a laser helmet, it all totted up to £4,300. And that's not even considering the 900 quid fuel bill from Andorra.
Yeah, I wonder what the cost per second of that is.
Well, he kept the yellow jersey for
He
that
did
day.
keep the yellow jersey, so maybe it was worth it.
I mean, he was also reportedly up until midnight, the night before the TT, working on his position.
That's kind of Club 10 style, isn't it? Apart from you'd probably have a few beers while you were doing it. Yeah, absolutely. And he reportedly said 452 when he was yeah.
Maybe his normalised power for that?
Yeah, which is pretty decent, isn't it? Yeah,
I'd
take
be
that.
happy with that. I mean, for a rider of his size, it's not amazing, but to do it when you've sorted your position out the night before, that's pretty good going.
Yeah. So another thing we noticed about Van der Poel's bike, or his Canyon Aeroed, is that he had the proper handlebars back on it after breaking them back at Le Salmon and everyone's being recalled.
Yes, if you've been impacted by that little recall, we do feel for you because you haven't had a bike to ride.
Absolutely.
Sad.
Very sad. So a bit of history on that. Van der Poel broke his bars. The bars on the Aeroed are a new design. They're 3-piece, so they're adjustable width, and you kind of screw them together. But he had some kind of issue where they broke. Everything was recalled, so a lot of people haven't been able to ride the new Aeroed since then.
But he and some of the Arkea Samsic riders who are also on Canyon, they seem to have a solution. How fast will that get to actual customers? We're not sure.
I'm going to guess many months.
Yeah, a few months still. But yeah, hopefully you'll get your bike soon.
It's coming.
It's not coming home. Another little tech thing that we kind of have seen but not seen is tubeless inserts.
We don't get to see them, do you?
No,
Really?
they stay hidden. Apparently they've been around in the pro peloton for quite a few years under Christoph, but
nobody was really talking about it.
no, they weren't telling us. If you see a rider on tubeless these days, chances are they've got a tubeless insert in there. It's really just a safety thing for the pro riders, because when they puncture,
they have to keep riding.
Yeah, you have to, if you're at the front of the bunch, you've got to roll along at like 60 kph while you roll back through the bunch, and then you've got to put your hand up, get the team car up, and then get a spare bike. That takes a lot of distance, and rolling around on a tubeless tyre that's got nothing in it is quite dangerous, actually.
Yeah, and historically, obviously, the pros have been on tubulars, and when you puncture a tubular, you tend to have a bit more cushioning there because the tyre stays in place. With a tubeless tyre, with a clinched tyre, it can become loose and work off the rim, which is bad.
It's bad if you're going down the descent as well.
So we've had a look at the Vittoria airliners, and they are a really good solution for that specific problem.
Absolutely.
Not so much a solution for your day-to-day leisure riding.
No, I'd find them very, very difficult to get off on the side of the road with my puny cyclist arms. If you want to see our review, we'll put it up there.
Is it up there?
It's
It might be up there this time.
Damn it. One thing for sure though is that the pros are still opting for tubular tyres when you come to the mountains.
Yeah, weight is still a thing.
It is.
Isn't it? Obviously, when you're riding the Tour de France, when you're riding different types of stage, your needs are different. And although a lot of people are now using one bike, say for example the Specialized Tarmac SL7, you can build it up in different ways. So on a long flat stage, you might want to put some nice deep section wheels on, take advantage of those crosswinds for that extra sail effect, save yourself a few watts. Whereas when you get to the mountains, really what you want to do is surface close to that 6.8 kilo weight limit as you absolutely can without getting disqualified. Some people talk a lot about rotational weight of wheels. Realistically, you look at the science, that's not an issue, but building up an all-purpose frame with a standard group set and normal wheels tends to bring it up to about that limit. So quite often the pros will be riding those flat stages with bikes that are a little bit above the 6.8 kilos, and then they'll stick some lighter wheels on for the hilly bits.
Tell you what, Dave, I could slam my Unia mug of tea down in frustration at this next one, because after telling us that the Athos would never, ever be raced by the pros,
guess what happens?
Casper Asperine gone and ridden his in a stage of the Tour. That's definitely racing Specialized.
Well, I think if you build a UCI approved super lightweight road bike, then sooner or later some pro's going to go, I fancy a bit of that on my hilly stage.
We had one in the office that had Ultegra on, and that came at 6.6 kg.
Yeah, so if you go down to Dura Race, you know, you're well under 6.5 kilos, aren't you?
And I've spent a lot of time on the Weight Weenies forum regarding the Athos. I've seen builds under 5 kg.
He must have been using super heavy pedals.
You do wonder how much weight they had to add to that.
Probably quite a lot, I would have thought.
Quite a lot,
yeah.
Now, Dave, last year's Tour de France was won by Pogacar, and he was still using rim brakes.
He was.
And it was great for the purists. Tour de France, one on an uphill hill climb, basically, using rim brakes. And Campag, you couldn't get better. But he switched to disc this year.
He did, and he still won.
Oh yeah, it means that Ineos are actually the last frontier of save the rim brake.
They are, with the new Dogma F, which is one of the only new batch of bikes to come out that is still compatible with rim brakes. Most of the new do-it-all bikes, the SL7 and the Giant TCR, and all of them are disc brake only now.
Yeah, and it's interesting that Ineos are still choosing rim brakes, because Princeton, the wheels that they kind of use on the sly, they come in disc brake form. The disc brake bike, Pinarello says, can be built down to the UCI's minimum weight limit.
And is more aero than the rim brake bike.
It has less drag.
Yeah.
So, yeah, interesting to know their reasoning for that.
It hasn't really been Ineos' tour, has it?
No,
So maybe next time we might see them on some disc bikes, see if they get a bit more luck.
Guys, all you needed was disc brakes and you'd have won.
So that's our little rundown of the tech that we've seen in this year's tour. Been an interesting race for tech.
Yeah, absolutely. If we've missed anything, you think, oh God, how have you not seen that? Well, let us know down in the comment section below. If you like this video, then remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, as that really helps us out. We'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, cheers for watching.